Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my weekly afternoon tea time on a card. I'm just going to wait a little bit to see if everyone can find me. I can see you guys hopping on. So welcome to afternoon tea time on a card. Today I'm going to be doing 3 cards with you. I'm going to start out with a simple card and then end up with a wow card at the end. I'm using the Flowering Tulips bundle. You can see that this bundle comes with the dies. And this was actually the first time I used this set, so I was glad to dig it out for you guys. Just a few announcements. My hostess code for the month of March. For anyone that places an order of $50 to $149.99, you get to earn 3 gifts here, depending on your order amount. And thanks to all of you guys that have placed orders already. And my door prize for today, of course, is always the projects that I create is the first door prize. And the second one will be the 2020-2022 in color square gems. So we'll do this at the end. I'll tell you what you'll need to do. So I wanted to just bring out the catalog to show you the bundle that I'm using. So this is the stamp set. These are the dies. Nice samples here to copy. If you guys ever need inspiration when you get a new set, this is the best place to go to start using your sets. And we also have another set that kind of goes with this one. It's the Tulip Fields. It's got the dies and the stamp set also. Now I'm trying to find, we have more products that I'm not using today, but we have the butterfly, the brushed brass butterflies, the evening evergreen ribbon, and this beautiful designer paper that I'm using today. I'm going to show you some samples of the sheets with my little sampler here. You can see each side has each piece has 2 sides, of course, and you can see how gorgeous this paper is. So let's get started with card number 1. For ink colors, I'm using Pear Pizzazz, Petal Pink, and Polished Pink. Aren't these colors pretty together? I'm going to start out with a simple card. Now all 3 cards use these same 2 layers. So let me go ahead and tell you what those are. It's Polished Pink 11 by 4 1/4 scored at 5 1/2. So let me go ahead and fold that on the score line. So we need 3 of these and then 3 of the basic white 4 1/2 by 3 1/2. Okay, so let's get started on the first card. Let me flip this over so I can show you. Now, let me bring it close just so I can show you the tulips. You'll see that there's 3 colors in each, in this big one, and then 2 colors in those. So that's called 2-step stamping for those of you guys that are new to stamping. So let me go ahead and bring out my ink pads. We're going to use all 3 ink pads. You can tell I just re-inked that one. That's why it looks kind of funky. I'm going to start out by using the little stem, and I'm going to stamp that 3 times. So 1, 2, and then I'm actually going to bring in a post-it note because this one here is a little bit lower. I don't want, oh look, I got ink on me already. Hold on. I'm going to have to start over because look, I got ink all over this. Let me get a wipe. I did that when I opened my ink pads. As I always tell my customers, there's always 2 sides to the cardstock, thank goodness. So let's try this again. 1, 2. I'm going to add the post-it note down here because I want to sneak in just a little short stem right here, and I don't want this going all the way down, so this post-it note kind of protects it. Okay, now we're going to add some leaves. We've got the large leaf and we got a little bit of a smaller leaf, so I'm going to go ahead and add one right here. I'm going to add another one on the outside, and I'm going to add the smaller one on the inside right here. Oh, I put it in a different spot, but that's okay. Now I need 1, 2. So these two go together. I'll show you how they work. Oh, actually, these two go together. And then where's my other one? I need the smaller one, which is... Okay, so there's my 3 flowers. Each flower has 2 stamps. We're going to start out with this one. I'm going to do that one right here. And then I want to do the inside, which is this one. And what you do is see this petal right here. That's where you look for the design that's going to fit inside that petal to add the color. So I'm doing petal pink. Now let me bring that in so you can see the 2 layers. The next one I'm going to do is this one. It's a little bit smaller. And this one is kind of funky because it has these 2 loops in the middle right here. It looks like a heart shape. We're going to fill that in. And then we're going to use the smaller one. It's going to go right here. And petal pink on the inside. Okay, so there's my stamping. So this is my clean and simple. The only other step I have left is this little tiny image that goes right in the middle of the big flower. So now I'm going to glue that on my card front. And we're going to build 2 wow cards, taking off from this one. Oh, I forgot my, where's my linen thread? Hold on, I got to get my linen thread. I ran out, that's why I don't have it out here. This is a new spool. This is our linen thread. Now, hopefully I'll be able to find the end. Here it is. I wanted to glue that or put the thread on there before I glued my white down. And of course I forgot, so we still can do it. I'm going to wrap that around twice. I'm going to press this down so it doesn't move on me. I'm going to tie a bow way over to the left. And you know how I like to start out with big loops and then I pull my strings until I like the size. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to bring in a piece of white. This is just a scrap piece of white because I'm going to cut it down. Here's my sentiment. I'm going to go as far up to the top as I can. And then I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. So that's why I didn't give you measurements on this one, because I cut it as close to all of the sides of each of my cardstock. Let me see, I can go in a little bit more. And then I'm going to glue that in place with dimensionals. Now I just want to make sure my string is nice and straight. And this one says, "No one deserves a happier birthday than you." I'm just going to sneak that in over the twine. Press that in place. And there's card number 1. So this is my clean and simple. So let's see how we're going to step that up a little bit. Here's my next card. I'm going to need, I have a bow all made up. Oh, there's my linen thread. I couldn't find it. There it was. I'm also going to add in the polished dots. And remember, we have the same 2 layers, but this time we're adding in a piece of the designer paper. And this measures 4 by 4. And let me go ahead and fold that, and then I'll show you the card. And here is stepped up card number 1. So you can see here that I did some stamping on the background. I added some designer paper. Oh, hold on a minute. I lost you guys. There you are. Okay, I added a layer of designer paper. I added a bow instead of wrapping it around. And then all of these 4 tulips are raised with dimensionals. Now, to save time, I did go ahead and stamp some of these ahead of time. So I did 2 of the larger one and 2 of the medium one, and then 1 of each leaf. So we're going to use that on this card. These were the dies that I used. Okay, I'm just going to move those over. And the first thing I'm going to do is bring in the medium flower. And I'm just going to stamp around the outside edge because I know most of the card is going to be covered in the middle. So I'm just going to stamp around all 4 sides. Now remember, as you're doing this, I have people sometimes that will ink their stamp and try to stamp several times. You have to ink it each time, just so that the vividness of the ink appears on each one that you stamp. Okay, so there's my little frame. Now I'm going to start out the same way that I did card number 1. I'm going to start with the stems. So again, we're going to do 1, 2. I'll bring in my little post-it note. And there's my 3rd one. I'm also going to stamp a couple of the leaves. I'm going to do 1 out here. And I'm going to do the smaller one out here. And the rest of this is actually going to be full with the popped up flowers. Now, I do have 1 flower here that is stamped flat. So we're going to do that one first. And then here's the blushing bride, or petal pink, sorry. And then we have the little detail in the middle. And that's it for stamping. You can see that's my base. Now I'm going to start gluing everything down. So we're going to need to flip these over and add dimensionals to each one of these. I'm just going to add 1 to each flower. And then I'm going to add the mini dimensionals to the leaves, just because they're a little skinnier. Now we can start building. And I'm actually going to glue my sentiment in place first. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to stamp the sentiment as close to the edge as I can. I'm going to trim all 4 sides. And I'm actually going to glue this in place with dimensionals again. A lot of dimensionals on this card, and even more on the next card. Okay, so I'm going to add this about here. Now we can start gluing the flowers. I have one that is tucked behind the sentiment. One of the smaller ones right here. Let's see, I'm going to try to sneak in this leaf. So you could actually just stamp a whole bunch of flowers and leaves and just stick them wherever you feel. Just stick them. Just stick them wherever you feel it looks good. That's what I did. And then whatever I had left over, I used on card number 3. Okay, there's my cluster of flowers. Next is this leaf right here. And then I'm going to bring in, hold on, I'm looking for something. Okay, I need to grab some glue dots. I have no idea where my glue dots are. So we'll just start a new package. Here's my little bow. And I'm actually just going to pinch that so it doesn't show. We're going to glue that right on the corner of the sentiment. Okay, now we can start assembling the card. So the designer paper is going to be glued flat. Isn't it a shame to cover this up? It's going to go right in the center. Guess what we're going to add on the back of this one? We're going to add more dimensionals. Okay, so let me glue this in place. Then we're going to add some bling. Oh, that one has some, I don't like that one. Has some rough edges on it. So I'm using the pink colored embellishments. And let me see, did I get everything done on this one? Yes. So there's card number 2, which is, to me, is a little bit stepped up. Now we're going to do a wow card. Okay, let me make some room. Janice says more dimensionals. Of course, you know me. I buy a lot of dimensionals. Okay, here's card number 3. Here's what I'm using. We're going to be using a blending brush on this one. And look at everything that I cut out. So I'll explain these as I go because each, like this is flower number 1, this is flower number 2, and flower number 3. I'm going to show you how to do all 3 flowers. Let me just get my scrap out. I'm also using the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. These are my 2 layers from card 1 and card 2. And then I have a scrap piece of the polished pink. And this is again the same designer paper, different pattern. This is 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, let me see if I got everything. I have 2 pieces of the linen thread 8 inches long. I'm going to do something with that. Okay, are you ready for the wow card? This is card number 3. It's got a little bit of everything. Look at all the tulips. We've got some stamped tulips. We've got some die cut tulips. We got the embossing folder. Got a whole lot going on. So let me show you how I did that. I'm going to go ahead and glue the designer paper on first. Oh, I see a lot of hearts. You guys like that one. I just thought I'd mix everything in there so you guys that have these dies that haven't used them yet, or anyone that's interested, you'll know how to use the dies. Okay, so let's start out with the blending. So I'm going to use the Pear Pizzazz. See, I always start out on the scrap so I don't mess it up. Most of this is going to be covered, so you don't have to worry too much about the center as it gets darker. So even if I have a few blobs there, you won't see it. Okay, there's my sponging. Now I'm going to bring in the machine so I can do the embossing. So we're going to add that to the center of the embossing folder. I'm going to have to turn it this way. I'm using platform number 1, the embossing folder, and then platform number 4, which is the gray one. Now the gray one replaces our old purple one before the new machines came out. Now I want to show you the difference. You'll see the difference by embossing over the ink. Look how pretty that texture adds to it. Okay, so we're going to do that. Now we got all of this beautiful stuff to add in there. I don't even know where to start. Okay, so I'm going to start out by putting dimensionals on every one of these flowers. So we're using a lot of dimensionals because everything, all the layers you see have dimensionals on them. Now, before I move on, okay, let me see. Let me finish these and then I'm going to show you how to assemble all of these flowers. Let me just add dimensionals to the leaves. Whoops, that one has a backing off of it and it's sticking right to my finger. And this one, I think we can just do one on these because that one's smaller. Okay. I'm going to have to dig my little vacuum out when I'm done here. Now, on this first one, when you guys cut these flowers, I'm going to see if I can show this on the video, but I want to dig out my flower first, my die. So all of the ones you see right here, these are the ones I'm using. It looks like they have a fancy cutout in the middle, but it's not a cutout. It's actually an embossing. So when you cut these out, I'm hoping you'll be able to see that on the camera. Those petals are all embossed with that design on them. I'm trying to see if you guys can see that. Probably not. It's so light. So I'm going to start out with this one, which is this one right here. I glued that one flat. So you're going to flip it. There's the embossing. I'm going to flip it over to the wrong side. I'm just going to fold those in. Just get them ready. And then I'm going to use my liquid glue. This little piece, which also has embossing, is going to go right in the center. And you can make it pop out on the top there so that color will show. And then all I did was add just a little bit of glue. And I'm going to fold those over. And I'm just going to hold that. Yeah, Jean said she couldn't see the embossing. It's hard to show that on the camera. I thought maybe you guys would be able to see it, but it didn't show up. Okay, so there's my first flower. That one's just a flat one. Now I'm going to move on to this one right here. So this one needs 3 pieces. And again, we're going to take this on the wrong side. We're going to fold that over. And then I'm going to add this little heart-shaped one right there. And then what I did, and it might not be right, but I think it looks good the way I did it. I added 2 mini dimensionals on the back. You can glue it flat if you want to. It's going to go right here. And what's going to happen when I fold this over, it has a little bit of height. So I'm going to add some liquid glue. So when I fold this over, it already has the height from this piece right here. And because I'm gluing on top of that one, I hope you can see that. Look at the height. It looks puffy. You know what I mean? It just looks puffy compared to this flat one. I'm going to do the same thing with the third one. We're going to fold this over like this. Same 2 pieces on the inside. So I'm going to add liquid glue. I'm going to put that right there. And again, I'm going to add mini dimensionals to this one. And we're going to give it some height. That goes right in the middle. I'm going to add liquid glue. And then I'm just going to press this down. And see how it gives it that puffy look? I just need to hold it just for a second. Make sure this one here just doesn't want to stay flat. Okay, so there's my 3 tulips. Pretty neat. You can always do them all the same color too. It doesn't matter what the color combinations are. That's up to you. Now I'm going to start gluing. And I'm going to start out by doing the stems. So this one is going to be like a big puzzle. So I'm kind of going to add the stems like you saw on card number 1 and 2, but this time they're die cut stems. Okay, there's 2 of those. Now I'm going to add the leaves. So we're going to put 1 leaf right here. Another one on the outside. I can't even see what I did in here. It's all covered. But I remember that I added one here. And another one right there. And let me see what else I did before I move on here. I'm going to start adding some flowers. So I've got one that goes down here. And I've got two of, oh, I say I've got two. Oh, it's sitting on my leg. Okay, these ones here are a little too long. So I added two of them. I'm just going to trim them off a little bit. These are also from the die cuts. They're so tiny. Okay, I need another glue. This one's almost empty. There we go. So I'm going to add one right here. It might be still too long. I just need to trim it if it is. So this would be fun if you're just stamping for fun and you want to create this little scenery of flowers. It's just the neatest thing. Okay, I'm going to trim those just a little bit more. And I know that this one is going to go up here. This is the bigger one. I'm going to tuck one underneath. Right now I'm just going over where the stamped stems are. Okay, and let's see, we've got one of these. And I kind of tuck that one under the stem. Look how cool that is. It's all coming together. Okay, now we got to glue these ones in place, and I did use dimensionals. So I'm going to put the bigger one. That stem should be moved over just a tad. There's that one. Oh, that's the different one. This one's going to go on this stem. Even though it's up here, I'm going to cover it. Look at all the pretty flowers. This one right here. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with the sentiment. Look at all the dimensionals I'm using. This time I'm doing polished pink ink on polished pink cardstock. We're going to trim it the same way. Oh, that was close. And guess what? More dimensionals. That's going to go right here. And okay, now what I did with the bow, I had two pieces here that measure 8 inches. I just put them together. I'm just making a double bow. So there's my double bow. And let me trim off these ends. And we're going to get a mini glue dot. And I'm going to stick that down here below that one tulip. Just fluff it up a little bit. And let me see what else I've got. We've got some bling. I added a lot more bling on this one. I need to get this one out of here. That one is junk. It's got some rough edges on it. It just looks horrible. Okay, let's see if we got everything. I just want to make sure I do have everything showing. So now, one more time. I just love the look of the embossing folder on the background after it's been inked. It just looks so good. And I'll bring out all of the cards in. Let me make sure that's not upside down. And I did glue this one at an angle. Okay, there's card number 3. So let me move everything over so I can bring all the cards back in. So this is the last one that I did. Number 2. And number 1. So what do you think? Which one's your favorite? I know some of you guys are more on the clean and simple side. Some of you are in between. And then some of you will love the wow card. So let me see. I need to pick 2 numbers. Let me go ahead and pick my numbers. Let's see. Okay, now I want you guys to comment with the word tulip, and I'm going to pick a winner, one of each card, and the second winner will get the gems. So you can go ahead and comment with the word tulip. Pam Parker. Pam Parker is the winner of the gems. So I had number 14 and number 28 for my winners. So thanks for joining me, everyone. On Friday, I will be on my Debbie's Designs page, and I will be showing you a little Easter 3D project. So make sure you come watch me on my Debbie's Designs page, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. Have a good remainder of the week. See you soon.